13 iconic names were silenced by the pandemic, leaving shockwaves across America. They were legends of music, film, and power, gone in ways no one expected. Stay with us, because the untold stories of their final days will keep you watching until the end. Number 1. Colin Powell. On October 18, 2021, the former Secretary of State took his last breath at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in Maryland. The cause was complications from the coronavirus, made worse by his battle with multiple myeloma and Parkinson's disease. News of his death struck the nation like a thunderclap, because Powell was not just another retired politician. He was a figure woven into the very fabric of American history, a man who broke barriers and stood at the center of global events for decades. Born in New York City in 1937 to Jamaican immigrant parents, Powell rose from the streets of the Bronx to become a four-star general. His military career carried him through Vietnam, where he earned respect for his discipline and leadership under fire. He eventually served as National Security Advisor under President Ronald Reagan and later became chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the first African American to hold that position. His calm voice and strategic mind guided American forces during the Gulf War, and millions watched as he explained complex military operations with clarity and authority. In 2001, Powell once again made history as the first African American Secretary of State, serving under President George W. Bush. During those turbulent years after September 11th, he became the face of America's diplomatic efforts, tasked with building coalitions and presenting the case for action abroad. His reputation for honesty and pragmatism gave weight to his words, though he would later express regret about some of the decisions made during that time. Beyond politics, Powell inspired countless Americans who saw in him a living example of the American dream. He was the son of working-class immigrants who climbed to the highest ranks of power through service, intelligence, and perseverance. Even after retirement, he remained a respected elder statesman, offering guidance and speaking about unity in a nation often divided. When the coronavirus claimed him, it felt as though an entire era closed. Powell's passing was not just the loss of a man, but of a voice that had long urged balance between strength and diplomacy. Tributes poured in from across the political spectrum, a rare moment when leaders of all sides bowed their heads in unison. His story ended in the quiet of a hospital room, yet the echoes of his journey continue to resonate in the halls of history. Number 2. Charley Pride. On December 12, 2020, the voice of country music was silenced forever in Dallas, Texas. The cause was complications from the coronavirus, and the news devastated fans who had followed his remarkable career for decades. Pride was more than a singer. He was a trailblazer who broke barriers in a genre that had long resisted diversity. Born in Sledge, Mississippi in 1934, he grew up in a poor farming family where music was a rare source of joy. As a young man, he first dreamed of playing professional baseball and even pitched in the Negro American League. Yet fate pulled him toward the stage, and his warm baritone soon became unmistakable. When he signed with RCA Records in the mid-1960s, he was one of the very first African-American artists to gain a foothold in country music. His presence challenged the norms of the industry, but his undeniable talent quickly won over audiences. Hits like Kiss an Angel Good Mornin' made him a household name. His records topped charts, and his concerts filled arenas where thousands sang along. Over the years, he collected more than 24 #1 country singles, 3 Grammy Awards, and a permanent place in the Country Music Hall of Fame. Yet even with such accolades, Pride often spoke humbly about his beginnings and the struggles of breaking into a world that was not built to welcome him. When he performed, there was always a mixture of pride and gratitude in his eyes, as if he carried the memory of those early days in Mississippi with him to every stage. In 2020, just a month before his passing, he accepted the Willie Nelson Lifetime Achievement Award at the Country Music Association Awards. It was a moment that felt like a crowning jewel, an acknowledgement of how much he had given to the art form. His death from the coronavirus left an irreplaceable gap in American music. Fellow artists mourned publicly, with many saying that without Charley Pride, country music would never have opened its doors as widely as it has today. He became not only a star, but also a symbol of resilience, courage, and the power of music to cross every boundary. Though he is gone, his songs still echo across radio waves, reminding us of the trail he blazed and the lives he touched. If you believe stories like this must continue to be told, remember to subscribe so that together we can keep their legacies alive. Number 3. Phil Spector. On January 16, 2021, the world learned that the man once hailed as a genius of sound had died from complications of the coronavirus while serving a prison sentence in California. His end was as controversial as his life, a mixture of brilliance, fame, and infamy that left the public divided. Born in the Bronx in 1939, he grew up in a working-class Jewish family and discovered early on that music could be both an escape and a weapon. By his teenage years, he had already written and recorded songs, but it was his work behind the console that changed the sound of an era. He created what he called the wall of sound, a revolutionary technique of layering instruments and echo chambers to produce music that felt massive, dramatic, and unforgettable. With this innovation, Spector shaped hits for groups like the Ronettes, the Crystals, and the Righteous Brothers. Songs such as Be My Baby and You've Lost That Lovin' Feelin' became not only chart toppers but also cultural milestones. His influence reached across oceans, inspiring British bands like the Beatles, who later worked with him on the iconic album Let It Be. Artists and producers studied his methods for decades, trying to capture the dense yet shimmering quality that had become his signature. Despite his towering reputation in music, Spector's personal life spiraled into darkness. By the 2000s, he was better known for the sensational trial that found him guilty of the murder of actress Lana Clarkson. He was sentenced to prison, where he would spend the rest of his life. Even then, his name sparked heated debate, with some focusing on his groundbreaking achievements, while others could not look past the violence and arrogance that marred his later years. When the coronavirus swept through prisons, his health declined rapidly. Reports confirmed his death at age 81, closing the book on one of the most complex figures in American music. For some, it was the end of a legend whose sonic imagination changed the landscape forever. For others, it was the fall of a man whose demons defined his final decades. Phil Spector's story remains one of contradiction, a reminder that genius and tragedy often walk hand in hand, leaving behind legacies that are both celebrated and condemned. Number 4. Herman Cain. On July 30th, 2020, the former presidential candidate and business leader died in Atlanta after a weeks-long battle with the coronavirus. He had been hospitalized for nearly a month, fighting severe complications until his body could endure no longer. The announcement shocked both political allies and critics because Cain had been a larger-than-life figure whose smile and booming laugh had filled television screens for years. Born in Memphis, Tennessee in 1945, Cain rose from modest beginnings to become one of the most recognizable African-American conservatives in the country. He earned a degree in mathematics and later a master's in computer science, then embarked on a career that spanned the Navy, corporate America, and the world of fast food. As the head of Godfather's Pizza in the 1980s, he built a reputation as a charismatic executive who could turn around struggling businesses. His leadership style was bold and unapologetic, earning him admiration from those who valued toughness and direct talk. By the 1990s, Cain had entered the political conversation as a commentator and advocate for conservative economic policies. His national profile skyrocketed during the 2012 Republican presidential primaries, when his 999 tax plan became a catchphrase across the country. For a brief moment, Cain led the polls, drawing massive crowds and energizing voters who saw him as a fresh, unpolished alternative to traditional politicians. Although his campaign ended before the nomination, he remained a fixture in conservative media and continued to influence debates on taxes, business, and opportunity. In the summer of 2020, Cain attended a large rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where many noted he was not wearing a mask. Just days later, he tested positive for the coronavirus, and his health quickly declined. His death sparked national discussion about the risks of public gatherings during the pandemic and the fragility of even the strongest voices when faced with the virus. Cain's passing left a void among supporters who viewed him as proof that perseverance and optimism could break barriers. To others, his story became a cautionary tale about the pandemic's reach. Have you ever wondered how quickly life can shift from the brightness of a campaign stage to the silence of a hospital room? His journey reminds us that no amount of laughter, energy, or determination can shield us from the unexpected. Number 5. Roy Horn. On May 8, 2020, the master illusionist, known around the world as half of Siegfried and Roy, died in Las Vegas from complications of the coronavirus. His passing marked the end of an era in stage entertainment, because Horn and his partner Siegfried Fischbacher had defined magic on the grandest scale for decades. Born in Germany in 1944, Horn's fascination with animals began when he was still a boy. He worked on ships as a teenager, and it was during those travels that he met Siegfried, a fellow German with a passion for sleight of hand. Their friendship and shared ambition soon blossomed into a legendary act. By the 1960s, they had brought tigers and lions into their performances, blending classic illusions with the raw power of wild beasts. Their shows became spectacles unlike anything else on the Las Vegas Strip. Dressed in sequins and surrounded by roaring cats, Siegfried and Roy turned magic into a dazzling theatrical experience. For years, they filled the Mirage Hotel with sold-out crowds, attracting celebrities, tourists, and world leaders who wanted to see the duo perform the impossible. At the height of their fame, they were considered the kings of Las Vegas, symbols of glamour and daring. In 2003, tragedy struck during a performance when one of their white tigers attacked Horn, causing life-altering injuries. Though he survived, the event effectively ended the act and left fans mourning the loss of a magical chapter. Horn spent the following years in rehabilitation, often appearing publicly with Siegfried, who remained at his side until the very end. When the coronavirus reached Las Vegas, Horn's health, already fragile, could not withstand the attack. At 75 years old, he succumbed, leaving admirers across the world stunned. Tributes poured in, not only from magicians and entertainers, but also from those who had seen in him a symbol of resilience after surviving the tiger attack. His life embodied both the wonder of show business and the risks that come with pushing beyond ordinary limits. Roy Horn's story is remembered not only for the illusions he created on stage, but also for the courage he showed off stage. His legacy endures in the memories of audiences who still recall the awe of seeing a man stand side by side with the wild, transforming danger into beauty under the shimmering lights of Las Vegas. Number 6. John Prine. On April 7, 2020, the beloved singer-songwriter died in Nashville, Tennessee, after contracting the coronavirus. His passing sent shockwaves through the music world. Because Prine was more than a performer, he was a poet of the people whose words carried humor, sorrow, and truth in equal measure. Born in Maywood, Illinois in 1946, Prine began writing songs while working as a mailman. In the late 1960s, he played small clubs in Chicago where his sharp storytelling caught the attention of critics and fellow musicians. By 1971, he had released his self-titled debut album, filled with songs that blended folk, country, and social commentary. Tracks like Sam Stone, Angel from Montgomery, and Paradise became instant classics, admired for their honesty and empathy. Prine's music never relied on flashy production. His voice was plain-spoken, almost conversational, but his lyrics painted vivid portraits of everyday life. He wrote about broken veterans, lonely housewives, and working-class families with a compassion that resonated across generations. Artists such as Bob Dylan, Chris Christopherson, and Bonnie Raitt praised him as one of the greatest American songwriters of his time. In the 1990s, Prine faced a battle with cancer that altered his voice but never dimmed his spirit. He continued to perform and record, gaining new audiences who admired his resilience and authenticity. In 2018, he released The Tree of Forgiveness, which became his highest charting album and earned him renewed recognition, proving that his artistry had not faded with age. When the coronavirus pandemic struck, Prine was already vulnerable due to his health history. His hospitalization in March of 2020 drew global attention as fans around the world prayed for his recovery. The news of his death in April left a silence that felt both personal and universal. Musicians from every genre offered tributes, calling him a national treasure whose songs would outlive the man himself. John Prine's legacy is measured not only in awards but in the countless lives touched by his music. His lyrics captured the fragile beauty of ordinary existence, turning simple moments into timeless art. Though the virus claimed him, the stories he set to melody continue to live, sung in kitchens, bars, and concert halls wherever people seek comfort in song. Number 7. Ellis Marsalis Jr. On April 1, 2020, the patriarch of New Orleans jazz died after contracting the coronavirus. His departure was deeply felt not only because of his own remarkable talent, but also because he was the guiding force behind one of America's most influential musical families. Born in New Orleans in 1934, Ellis Marsalis grew up surrounded by the rhythms and melodies of a city where jazz was more than entertainment. It was a way of life. He studied classical piano at Dillard University, but found his true calling in the improvisational world of modern jazz. His playing was sophisticated yet soulful, blending technical precision with an emotional depth that reflected the heart of his hometown. Marsalis built a career as both a performer and an educator. He played with legends such as Cannonball Adderley and Al Hirt, yet he often focused more on teaching than on chasing the spotlight. For decades, he was a fixture in the clubs of New Orleans, where audiences came to hear his elegant style, and in classrooms where he shaped the next generation of jazz musicians. As a teacher at the New Orleans Center for Creative Arts and later at the University of New Orleans, Marsalis mentored countless students who went on to make their own marks in music. His influence extended far beyond the classroom, because he also nurtured talent at home. His sons, Wynton, Branford, Delfeo, and Jason Marsalis, each became acclaimed musicians in their own right, carrying their father's lessons onto the world stage. Ellis Marsalis's death at the age of 85 marked the end of an extraordinary chapter in American jazz history. Tributes came swiftly from musicians across the globe, many of whom credited him with shaping their artistic paths. In New Orleans, where music is woven into every street and celebration, his passing was mourned as the loss of a cultural cornerstone. Though the coronavirus ended his life, it could not silence the echoes of his piano or the legacy of his teaching. His influence lives on in the notes played by his children, in the students who carry his lessons, and in the city whose soundtrack he helped define. Ellis Marsalis Jr. remains a symbol of how one life dedicated to music can ripple outward across generations. Number 8. Adam Schlesinger. On April 1st, 2020, the songwriter and producer died in Poughkeepsie, New York, after contracting the coronavirus. At only 52 years old, his death felt especially cruel, cutting short a career that had already given the world an astonishing variety of music across genres and generations. Born in New York City in 1967, Schlesinger showed musical talent from an early age. After studying at Williams College, he co-founded the band Fountains of Wayne, where he became the creative force behind witty, sharply observed songs about suburban life. Their biggest hit, Stacy's Mom, released in 2003, became a cultural phenomenon, endlessly played on radio and television. Behind the humor of that single lay a songwriter with remarkable craft and lyrical intelligence. Schlesinger's gifts extended far beyond his band. He wrote songs for film, television, and theater, including the Oscar-nominated title track for Tom Hanks's movie, That Thing You Do. His music for the television series, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, earned him Emmy Awards, while his work on stage productions won him critical acclaim and Tony nominations. Few artists move so effortlessly between pop charts, Broadway theaters, and Hollywood screens. Colleagues often described him as endlessly inventive and generous with his talent. He collaborated with artists across styles, from rock bands to comedians, always finding the perfect balance between melody and wit. His versatility made him one of the most respected behind-the-scenes figures in modern entertainment, even if his name was not always recognized by the general public. When news of his death broke, tributes poured in from musicians, actors, and fans who marveled at how much he had accomplished in just over 5 decades. His loss was a reminder of how the pandemic was not only taking elders, but also voices still in their creative prime. The sudden silence of his music left many wondering what more he could have given had he been granted more time. Have you ever thought about how a single song can capture a moment in your own life so clearly that it feels like the writer knew you personally? Adam Schlesinger had that gift, and though the virus took him too soon, the melodies he left behind continue to play in the memories of all who love them. Number 9. Terrence McNally. On March 24, 2020, the acclaimed playwright died in Sarasota, Florida, after complications from the coronavirus. He was 81 years old, and his passing was mourned across the theater world, where his words had shaped decades of storytelling on Broadway and beyond. Born in St. Petersburg, Florida, in 1938, McNally discovered a passion for writing during his college years at Columbia University. By the 1960s, his plays were being produced in New York, and his reputation grew quickly as a writer unafraid to tackle subjects that many others avoided. His works explored themes of love, identity, and human connection, often through the lens of the LGBTQ community, making him a groundbreaking figure in American theater. Throughout his career, McNally wrote more than 36 plays and musicals. His credits included celebrated works such as Master Class, which examined the life of opera singer Maria Callas, and Love, Valor, Compassion, which portrayed the lives of 8 gay men with honesty and vulnerability. He also contributed to musicals like Ragtime and Kiss of the Spider-Woman, both of which earned him Tony Awards. In total, McNally received 5 Tony Awards, along with numerous other honors that recognized his impact on the arts. Beyond accolades, McNally's true influence lay in the way his work opened doors for representation on stage. He gave voice to stories rarely told in mainstream theater, challenging audiences to confront prejudice while celebrating the resilience of the human spirit. Many actors who worked with him described him as both demanding and deeply compassionate, a mentor who believed in the transformative power of performance. In his later years, McNally continued writing and mentoring even while facing health challenges, including a bout with lung cancer. His resilience kept him active in theater circles until the very end. When the coronavirus claimed his life, tributes poured in from playwrights, directors, and actors around the world. Broadway theaters dimmed their lights in his honor, a gesture reserved for those whose contributions leave a lasting mark. Terrence McNally's story is one of courage, creativity, and conviction. His passing during the first chaotic months of the pandemic underscored how fragile even the brightest lights can be, yet his words remain etched into the fabric of American theater, where they continue to inspire new generations of artists and audiences. Number 10. Dawn Wells. On December 30th, 2020, the actress best known as Mary Ann on the classic television series Gilligan's Island died in Los Angeles from complications related to the coronavirus. Her passing closed a chapter in television history and reminded millions of viewers of the enduring charm she had brought to screens for decades. Born in Reno, Nevada in 1938, Wells first entered the public eye after winning the title of Miss Nevada and competing in the Miss America pageant in 1959. That visibility led her toward acting, and by the early 1960s, she had begun appearing in television roles. In 1964, she won the part that would define her career, the wholesome and kind Mary Ann Summers on Gilligan's Island. The sitcom, which aired for only 3 seasons, became a cultural phenomenon in reruns, and Wells's portrayal of Mary Ann captured the imagination of audiences. With her pigtails, gingham dresses, and warm smile, she represented the girl next door, a contrast to the glamorous movie star character played by Tina Louise. For generations, viewers debated whether they preferred Ginger or Mary Ann, a testament to the impact Wells made on popular culture. Though forever linked to Gilligan's Island, Wells built a diverse career after the show ended. She appeared in films, performed in more than 100 stage productions, and guest starred in countless television programs. She also devoted much of her later life to charitable causes, including work with organizations supporting people with disabilities and financial assistance for aging actors. When news broke of her death at the age of 82, tributes flowed from fans and colleagues alike. Many spoke of her kindness, humility, and gratitude for the role that had defined her. Sherwood Schwartz, the show's creator, once noted that she embodied goodness both on and off screen, a sentiment echoed by those who knew her personally. Dawn Wells's death was another reminder of how the pandemic reached into every corner of American life, taking not only leaders and musicians, but also beloved figures from the golden days of television. Her memory endures each time Gilligan's Island reruns play, where audiences can once again smile at the sweetness and sincerity she brought to Mary Ann, a character who remains timeless in the hearts of millions. Number 11. Joe Diffie. On March 29, 2020, the Grammy-winning country singer died in Nashville after contracting the coronavirus. He was 61 years old, and his death stunned the music world, because only 2 days earlier he had publicly announced his diagnosis. Born in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1958, Diffie grew up surrounded by country music. His father played guitar and banjo, and young Joe quickly discovered his own talent for singing. After years of working odd jobs and writing songs for others, he signed with Epic Records in the early 1990s. His debut album, A Thousand Winding Roads, produced hit singles that introduced him as a new voice in traditional country music. Throughout the decade, Diffie became one of the genre's most reliable hitmakers. With songs like Pickup Man, John Deere Green, and Third Rock from the Sun, he carved a reputation for mixing humor, storytelling, and heartfelt emotion. His rich tenor voice made him instantly recognizable, and his performances brought energy to both honky-tonks and grand stages. Fans loved how his music reflected everyday American life, from small-town romance to working-class struggles. Diffie's peers also recognized his influence. He won a Grammy Award in 1998 for Best Country Collaboration with Vocals, and over the years he scored more than a dozen #1 singles. Many younger artists later credited him as a major inspiration, citing his ability to balance traditional sounds with the evolving style of modern country. In his later years, Diffie continued to tour and record, never losing the connection with audiences who had grown up with his music. When the coronavirus pandemic struck, his sudden illness and quick decline shocked fans across the country. Tributes came pouring in from stars like Tim McGraw and Toby Keith, who remembered him not only as a performer but also as a kind friend and generous collaborator. The swiftness of his passing left many reflecting on the fragility of life, especially during a time when the world was already filled with uncertainty. Can you remember the first Joe Diffie song you ever heard and how it made you feel? For countless listeners, his music became the soundtrack of everyday life, filled with warmth, laughter, and a touch of nostalgia that will never fade. Number 12. Trini Lopez. On August 11th, 2020, the singer and actor died in Palm Springs, California, after contracting the coronavirus. He was 83 years old, and his death was met with sadness across both the music and film industries, where he had made his mark during the 1960s. Born in Dallas, Texas in 1937 to Mexican immigrant parents, Lopez grew up in a working-class neighborhood where music became his escape. He began performing in clubs as a teenager, quickly gaining attention for his energetic style and distinctive voice. By the early 1960s, he was signed to Reprise Records, where Frank Sinatra himself became a supporter of his career. Lopez's breakthrough came with his upbeat version of If I Had a Hammer, which became an international hit in 1963. The song reached audiences around the world, turning him into a household name. His lively performances, often blending folk, rock, and Latin rhythms, made him stand out in an era filled with musical experimentation. Other hits like Lemon Tree and La Bamba solidified his reputation as a versatile artist who could cross cultural boundaries. In addition to his music, Lopez ventured into acting. He appeared in the classic war film The Dirty Dozen in 1967, alongside stars like Lee Marvin and Charles Bronson. While his acting career never reached the same heights as his music, it showcased his versatility and widened his fan base. He also designed guitars for Gibson, instruments that became popular with musicians worldwide. Throughout his long career, Lopez remained a proud representative of Mexican-American culture, paving the way for future generations of Latino performers. He toured extensively, performing for audiences across continents, and his charisma on stage kept him popular for decades. When the coronavirus claimed his life, colleagues and fans mourned not only the loss of his music, but also the loss of a cultural bridge builder. His story embodied the dream of an immigrant family whose son rose to international fame without losing touch with his roots. Trini Lopez's legacy continues through his recordings, his performances, and the countless artists he inspired. His voice, vibrant and full of life, remains a reminder of an era when music could unite people across backgrounds and borders. Number 13. Nick Cordero. On July 5th, 2020, the Broadway actor died in Los Angeles after a 95-day battle with the coronavirus. His struggle captured the attention of the nation because his wife, Amanda Klutz, shared daily updates on his condition, turning his fight into a story followed by thousands around the world. Born in Hamilton, Ontario in 1978, Cordero discovered his love for performing while studying at Ryerson University before moving to New York City to pursue acting. His breakthrough came with the musical Bullets Over Broadway in 2014, a role that earned him a Tony Award nomination. Known for his tall frame, powerful stage presence, and ability to command attention with both song and character, he quickly became one of Broadway's most admired rising stars. Cordero's credits included performances in Waitress, A Bronx Tale, and Rock of Ages, each of which showcased his versatility as both a singer and actor. He had the rare gift of blending charm with toughness, often cast in roles that required charisma and grit. Offstage, he was celebrated as a warm and generous man, devoted to his wife and their young son Elvis. When he contracted the coronavirus in March of 2020, his health declined rapidly. Complications led to blood clots, the amputation of his right leg, and months spent in a medically induced coma. Fans and fellow performers rallied around him, sending messages of hope as Amanda continued to document his battle. Despite moments of optimism, his body could not recover, and his death at just 41 years old was a devastating blow to the theater community. The response to his passing was overwhelming. Broadway theaters dimmed their lights, and tributes poured in from actors, directors, and fans who remembered him as both a brilliant performer and a kind soul. Amanda later released a memoir about their journey, ensuring his story lived on as both an inspiration and a reminder of the human cost of the pandemic. Nick Cordero's life was a testament to talent, perseverance, and love. Though his career was cut tragically short, his performances remain etched in the memory of audiences who watched him bring characters to life on stage. To honor stories like his and keep these legacies alive, make sure you subscribe so you never miss the lives and memories we share here.